You are welcome to another episode of Late Night Bitcoin with Q. I am your host, Q, coming to you once again from my mother's basement, and I have a jam packed episode in store for you all tonight. We are talking to a good friend of mine, none other than Bitcoin Shooter. We're going to be talking all things El Salvador, all things about his Bitcoin experience. Let's get into it. What is up, brother?
Yo, what's up, man? Nice to be on the first late night show of Bitcoin. I can see this being a thing. Maybe like you and I will be a duo in the future. We'll have a band and we can like sling jokes off each
Dude, I,
other. I see
I,
this.
I, I, one step at a time. I'm literally trying to scale this up. We will be the only late night show in Bitcoin that anyone ever needs to watch.
Yep.
Um, we're gonna get nice and cozy here because it is late night. This is now the third episode of the day that I'm recording, so bear with me as my voice is escaping me. But we're gonna start this episode off like we start every episode off, and I want you to share with me and the audience, when was the very first time you heard about Bitcoin?
First time I heard about it was probably 2015, but like just heard about it. Nothing, didn't look into it. Nothing, just passing by.
Was it
Um,
Silk Road or was Silk Road closed by then?
I don't know actually. I had nothing. I had no knowledge or information about it whatsoever. I just worked in tech. I was
Okay.
running a mobile app development company, and so I came across a developer that was talking about it, and I was like wrapped in projects. I had no time to dive into Bitcoin at the time.
Fair.
But yeah, I just like everybody else, just totally disregarded it. Whatever.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, I heard about it in 2013, trying to send weed to myself in college. And genuinely, my friend walked me through Silk Road, and I was like, wait, I have to go buy this thing called Bitcoin? Like, no, pass, pass. Like,
That's good.
Q, college Q, you buffoon. But I digress.
Yep.
So, your experience, much like mine, I feel like it is the norm. We heard about Bitcoin at some point, whether it's um, we took it seriously, ignored it outright, or whatever, or scoffed at it. Even like I feel like many people just sort of, and then it takes something to bring us back. So, what brought you back to Bitcoin?
Yeah, so it's funny the scoffing thing because I bought a T-shirt today. There was this car show down the road and hit all these beautiful cars lined up, old cars, and someone was selling shirts. I was like, "Yeah, I'll take a shirt. How can I pay you?" I'm like, "You don't take Bitcoin, do you?" And he's like, "Nah." And his friend, like with the right there at the booth with him, laughed like out loud. But yeah, just everybody's like that. But they'll never forget that. They never forget the interactions they have with people in the future when the price is way up. They're gonna be like, "Damn, that guy tried to buy a shirt from me." All those years ago. Anyway, I got back. Like a good buddy of mine was orange pilled and kind of like was telling me about fractional reserve banking. That's really what got me as I was like, damn, these guys are creating more money. They're making all this money on interest. They're loaning out money that doesn't even exist. I always saw taxes that we pay as like, okay, if I pay 40% tax, that means every 10 hours I work, I'm working 4 hours for somebody else, for the government. Um, and then with the fractional reserve, I was like, man, my purchasing power is literally inflating away. So every year I'm losing, 10% of the hours that I worked. Like they're going to somebody else. And that really pissed me off. And so I started to dive deeper and, really basically listen to everything Max Kaiser had put out on all this podcast, the To the Moon series. I didn't know much about money and finance before that, and it made a lot of sense. And I liked his anger because I was angry too because I was learning all these things for the first time. And so yeah, that just like really instilled no shit coins and really like a good understanding of all of the mining and code and all of the monetary stuff behind it. So yeah, that's how it came back. Just somebody like told me about fractional reserve banking, and then boom, rabbit hole.
You love that the Kaiser cult lives on and lives on strong. Dude, I
Yeah.
cannot for the life of me. Do you know the name of the website where you can like it'll just show you random things you probably bought or like heard about buying between 2008 and like 2015.
I never heard
And
about that, but that's
oh,
hilarious.
dude, it's so I'm forgetting the name of the website. I wanted to pull it up and just like go through. Like one of them is like if you bought a pair of Beats headphones in 2009, instead of buying those Beats headphones for this amount, if you
Right.
had bought Bitcoin, you would it
Right.
would be worth this much money, and it's like jaw dropping and like
Right.
honestly depressing how little money it would take to just like be at a
Right.
be to honestly just be a whale. Um,
Yeah, and
but
those days are probably gone where you could accumulate so much wealth so quickly. I mean, like, I think obviously Bitcoin's got a long ways to go in terms of like what it's going to be worth, what you can buy with one. But the guys that got in early, it was like you could 10x your wealth in just a couple of years, or more. And so, but it was way riskier back then, right? Like you might have been Mount Goxed. You might have been in fear of getting arrested, right? You saw like Charlie from what was he, B Cash? What was the shit? I forget. And he was getting arrested, so like it was way riskier back then. But yeah, like it's crazy to see how much Beats headphones are worth now. But like it's just you really won't get those days. It's longer term picture now. It's got to be like a 10-year plan now if you're trying to 10x. Like realistically, that's just the name of the game. Work, stack, and don't try to be rich in 2 years, man. Like that's the whole fucking thing about Bitcoin. Remember? you know?
such wise words. If only we could listen.
Yeah. Everybody
So,
comes in time, in their own time.
so I want to unpack a little bit of what you were talking about though, because I think that's like an important lesson of this idea that like those astronomical gains, like who knows, frankly, like CK Snarks will yell at us and call us bears and talk about how like no one is bullish enough and we don't really understand how far Bitcoin can go. But I do think I fall into this camp. Call me a bear, call me whatever you want to call me. Like the max potential of what Bitcoin can and will eventually become. I unfortunately don't think like I or even you probably like I'm living for another 30 years. Every year after that is like borrowed time. So
Yeah.
but like you might be living for another 50, but I still don't even think Bitcoin will reach its full potential in the next 50 years of like everything that it can properly do and accomplish. So
hmm
I don't know how how you feel about me saying that. Like, do you want to throw things in my head right now for being a bear?
No, no, man. I'm like a totally free market guy and like free ideas. Like, everybody should have their own ideas and what works works, and like the world would decide. It doesn't matter.
And I welcome being wrong. Like
Yeah, yeah,
my pockets
exactly,
welcome being wrong.
exactly. Like whenever you talk, really, you risk the chance of being wrong. But um, yeah, I think we'll see it in our lifetime. I just like when people say like $1 million in a couple of years, like I think it's very possible, but I don't live like it. And and I think like what I want to see is I just want to see a world where there's like more jobs doing actual work, actual value. So much of the jobs in the U.S., financial jobs, Wall Street jobs. I mean, like they don't, what do they do for you? They're not putting milk in your fridge. They're not cutting your hair. They're not doing anything. And so I imagine, like, wow, if we actually had a world where people were actually doing stuff of value, like that would be so much better. Even if it means like you have more people around that help you, with different things. Like, I don't know exactly, but I know that a hard money will bring that because that's the only way you can earn hard money. And especially right now, like, we can talk a little bit about it later, but raising funds for a film, like in a bear market, people really value this Bitcoin. They don't want to give it to you. And so my point with that is just I forgot my point with that, man. But oh yeah, that it's just everybody knows it's going to be worth so much more. And so yeah. Anyway, uh, I did
if
lose my
I'm
point.
if I'm honest, man, like I hate it when people are like, "Yo, I only accept Bitcoin," because I'm in that camp. Like, dude, I don't want to spend my Bitcoin. Like, go away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make the whale spend their Bitcoin. I'm still swimming. I'm like
Right. Well,
chugging
if you go to
along
El
here.
Salvador, what you do is you just load up your Strike cash balance, and then you pay for everything through Strike on, over Lightning. So, I mean, if you were going to use cash anyway, you're probably going to bring like 800 bucks or $1,000 cash or whatever. So just load up 1,000 bucks on your Strike account, and then you just send it right from there. Same shit really. But like, yeah, it's really easy actually to do it like that.
Uh, I want to get into that in a moment, though. But I'll be honest with you, I forgot the question that I wanted to ask. So at this point, I knew
Yeah.
this would happen if I smoked too much weed today. Too many episodes.
Yeah, I
um,
hear you. Well, you're
let's.
recovering too, so you should probably be smoking.
I mean, at this point, I can walk. Like,
Oh, damn.
grateful to be able to walk. No cane, no cast anymore. So,
Dope.
chugging along.
Right on.
But still got the limp though.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, you gotta use it. Just play it, man. Just be it.
Oh,
Own it.
it
Should be good.
sucks. No, it's fine. I hate saying that. All right. Let's go to El Salvador though.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about El Salvador. Um, actually, no, I don't want to do that. I now remember what direction I wanted to take it in. So I shared a little bit about sort of where my head and where my expectations are. I know you kind
Yes.
of alluded a little bit to the fact that you're like, look, I don't think it's going to be a couple million. I'm not at least living my life as though I think it's going to be worth a couple millions around the corner. Um,
Right.
where like how often are you using your Bitcoin as a medium of exchange versus how much of it just sort of sits in storage right now for you?
Yeah, so everything sits in storage, I mean, you have a budget and then you have savings and then whatever gets saved, gets put there. And then with I'm working on this project and I've been trying to fund, pay for everything with Bitcoin through one way or another. And a lot of it, Bitcoin companies helped a lot with some of their prepaid cards. Makes it super easy, like, um, and so, yeah, normally I don't spend it. Again, even in El Salvador, like I'm not spending it. I'm loading up cash on Strike and I'm putting it over Lightning. But yeah, with the projects, I have been spending it.
How much do you hate? Like, do you feel like pissed that you spent some under 20K and you're like, God damn it, if I had just waited 2 weeks?
Nah, because it goes both ways. I mean, honestly, the only thing I felt bad about was when I went to El Salvador in November for the first time in 2021. The price was in like the 60K or like 50K. And like, I bought some things from some vendors at the conference that was going on out there. And then I felt bad that like, 6 months later, it's like worth one third, But I take some comfort in knowing that they probably just turned it into fiat anyway, because, not everybody, just like anywhere else, most people don't understand what Bitcoin is. And, they probably don't like it. They probably buy into the idea in the news that it was a failure and that the country lost money and that they could have done other things with it. So yeah, he anyway. I don't feel bad because he probably fucking spent it in fiat.
Well, let me ask you this though: do you think that the fact that we are at least able to save in Bitcoin versus somewhere like El Salvador, they're genuinely like they are transacting with Bitcoin today, right now, out of necessity more than like, luxury. So, is there a level? I think to call a spade a spade. Like, is there a level of privilege that we have to just be able to sit here and say like, well, we're saving it, but they're not.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, totally. And again, like I try not to cast any judgment. I think people like you can't tell people what to do. You can give them advice and you can educate them, but at the end of the day, they're going to take the action that they want to take, and that's okay. I just see myself as a stream of water, and they can come drink at any time, but if they don't want to drink, whatever, no big deal. But yeah, if it's helping them, then it's great. And for a lot of them, it is. So, like, the people who are unbanked, right, where banks wouldn't be able to make enough money to open a branch like in a poor area, right? So they can't service these people, or they don't want to service these people. those people are paying for everything in cash. So they have a utility bill. They got to take a bus for an hour, wait in line for an hour, take a bus back for an hour, 3 hours for that bill. Now they just take the cash, they put it into Chivo ATM, it turns into Bitcoin. They take that Bitcoin, they send it to the utility bill, boom, done. No volatility, nothing. So they should use it however they want to use it. The volatility thing just scares people away right off the bat. They don't even think like, oh, or I don't even want to mess with this. So they'll get in, just like everybody else, like you and me, right? You dismiss it, and then it's usually the price when it runs up again. You're like, okay, what the hell's going on here? Why is it worth so much more than before? Like I need to actually understand what's happening. So I think that'll happen for them, and they're just like kind of a powder keg that's just ready to like boom when the price goes up. Like you're gonna see Salvadorans dancing naked in the street, man. They're gonna be like loving it. They're gonna be having the best time.
Hey man, I mean, Bukele did pay off the. Did he pay off or just make payment on the IMF loan? Do
I
you know?
think Greg Foss would know better, but Greg Foss was pretty happy about it. I mean, he could be biased, but yeah, they've been paying off, they've been repaying some of the debt, I guess. So yeah, that was another like FUD that was in the news, right? That this gamble really risked them, defaulting, and like it's too risky. It's really funny actually. It's really funny.
So they essentially they made their $800 million debt payment that was due back in January, and the next payment actually isn't due until 2025, which is interesting. They still have they made an $800 million payment, so zero point 0.8 billion, and I say zero point 0.8 billion because they still have $6.4 billion of debt. But I think it's interesting because 2025 is the other side of the halvening next year. So they got some time for Bitcoin to go on a nice little bull run without sort of worrying or being concerned about that payment.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be happy. I think El Salvador is gonna be happy, man. They're leapfrogging everybody is what's happening, and good for them. I mean, life moves in cycles, right? They say good times make weak men, make hard times, make strong men, and so on. And if you look at the history of El Salvador, they've had hard times for a long time. So they got a lot of strong people down there, and you combine that with Bitcoin, and the name of the country is the Savior. It's just weird, dude. It's like it's cosmic poetry. I guess that's the best way to say it.
Let me ask you this: like before Bukele and El Salvador made their announcement, I'm assuming you'd never been to El Salvador, never had an interest in going to El Salvador.
I have a lot of Salvadoran friends too. I grew up in LA, and there's lots of Salvadorans, lots of I'm half Mexican, lots of Salvadorans, lots of Mexicans. Never thought about going, never knew where it was, not at all.
Have you had conversations with any of them about like before you went down about joining you, or did any of them join you when you went down?
No, nobody joined me. I mean, literally, Bitcoin brought me down there. Max and Stacy. I'd filmed some stuff for them before, and they were gonna go, and I'm like, let's go. We gotta go. This is history. Like this is a huge moment in history where the first country is accepting Bitcoin, like the first of many. And so, no, no. I have even friends still who don't want to go down. They don't believe that it's safer. Yeah, really, yeah.
And I don't mean to like stay on this topic, but I think it's
No,
really
fine, yeah.
interesting just
It
to
is, yeah.
talk a little bit about these friends because like how was their sort of reception to the idea that El Salvador has become sort of this Bitcoin? Well, it's pretty much become like the global capital of Bitcoin, or more or less the Mecca, and people are doing what they
Mm-hmm.
some are calling like a pilgrimage, if you will. So,
Yes.
what is that like? How does an El Salvadorian who lives in Los Angeles, who may not actually give a flying fuck about Bitcoin, like what is their perspective on it? If you can shed some light on that.
Yeah, they buy into the mainstream idea that it's a mistake. And the thing is, they don't know that there's a pilgrimage and it's like a mecca. You know what I mean? That people are going to, and it is. I mean, at least half of the Bitcoiners that I talk to describe it as that. I haven't made the pilgrimage yet, or yeah, I've been 2 times or whatever. So they just don't know that, and all they hear is what's in the news, which is country lost $50 million. It's a poor country, and $50 million could have done a lot, could have helped a lot of people. So big mistake, risking it on this cryptocurrency that FTX, and they just like weave everything in, and it's just they think it's a failure. So most of them like Bukele. I mean, almost all of them. I don't know if I've ever met anyone in person that's been critical of Bukele, only on Twitter. Um, and, but they don't think Bitcoin is a good idea, and still many of them are skeptical that it's safe enough to go back. People are still like, like thinking about putting their toe in the water a little bit. But I can't tell you the dozens of people that I met while traveling to El Salvador, that went back for the first time in a long time, met with family for the first time in a long time, and are now ready to buy property, ready to start businesses, invest in their families, starting businesses. Just one visit and they're fucking sold. It's crazy, and it's really beautiful to see that. Like, imagine, like, you have a country you just shit on for 40 years, and then within like a year, it's like, wow, I can actually consider moving back here to retire. I can consider coming back to the house that I was born in. It's just I don't think you can really describe that. That's why they're called feelings. But like, it's really beautiful, and you can feel that, dude. When you're there, you can really feel that, whatever that energy is of all of those people that, yeah, give me the close up. All of those people that feel that have this optimism. It's palpable. So yeah, thank. I was coming to the end of it anyway, but
I fucked
let me
up.
get.
I should have full screened you sooner. But I love that. No, like to be honest, I think the best way, and you use the word, like that's just beautiful. It's so poetic, and it's lovely to hear. And I can only imagine how wonderful it is to see that with your own eyes. But my big takeaway from what you're saying and talking about is the fact that if you allow someone else, i.e., if you allow the media to dictate to you how you should think, feel, and understand what's going on without going and seeing it for yourself, without doing a little bit of your own due diligence, those who did that, it sounds like, were rewarded, and those who did not are going to be punished.
Yeah,
Is
and
that
I
a
mean,
fair
like,
assessment?
totally. And everybody's rewarded. Like, Bitcoin is also beautiful because it's a win-win-win. Like, every single angle. When you buy and save Bitcoin, you're helping yourself, you're helping everybody else. And the same thing. If you go to El Salvador, right, you're gonna have a great time. So like a vacation or whatever. Like, you're gonna come back relaxed. You're gonna feel good. So you're going to get something out of it. And you bringing money there is also bringing money into the economy and creating more jobs and more businesses. And, whatever you think of the politics, or, like, that directly helps people. So yeah, totally. I think everybody should go down there. And if you haven't gone yet, just go for the having party in 2024, with Big Sean and the boys. But yeah, yeah, it's really beautiful there, man. It feels different. You can feel like the whole world's gonna feel like it feels in El Salvador someday. It's awesome.
So I want to now talk a lot more just about, El Salvador. And I want to take two sides of the coin. I know
Yep.
you kind of alluded to the fact that, the vendor you may have interacted with while you were there probably, or may at least have sold some Bitcoin to operate their day to day life, or at least used it. Did you come across El Salvadorians who actually didn't accept or didn't want to really deal with Bitcoin and preferred not to? And what were those interactions like?
Um, yeah, like, even in, yeah, Bitcoin Beach, there's a really nice restaurant there, and even though they don't accept Bitcoin, I still ate there many times because again, I'm a free market guy. Like I want food for food, not only because they accept my money. Like they had the best food, man. I got to eat the best food. But the waiters would take it, no problem, as a tip. Yeah, no problem. But the businesses just didn't. you know, like I don't exactly know how easy it is either for them to just incorporate it, right? They're used to like a certain type of POS system or a process that their staff is used to going through. So it's also like this new thing that they're doing, and now they have two different, devices that they're managing transactions with. So I think that has something to do with it. But it's just like most other places. Again, I got laughed at today in the United States for asking somebody if they would take Bitcoin. Um, no one laughed at me in El Salvador. They would just say no, you know. So that's interesting. But again, they just don't get it, man. Not yet. And yeah, yeah, that's the answer.
How much for this shirt, if you don't mind me asking?
How much what?
How much was that shirt that the
Shirt was
guy?
twenty
No, no,
five
no, no,
bucks.
no, not the
I
one
got it
you're
right here.
wearing. Oh,
I'm
this is
wearing
the
it.
one that the guy laughed at you.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I gotta
No,
see.
I can't. It's got. It's oh, actually I can. I can. Let me take it off.
Do it. Take your shirt off. Yeah, yeah. Take it
It's
off.
the late night show, baby.
Whoa.
Late night. Where's the poll?
Yep. Oh, there we go.
All right. Sorry, I'm getting my headphones on. All right, this is the shirt.
Nice.
It's a
I
nice one.
dig it.
It's
I dig
nice.
it.
There's nice colors and everything. But yeah, dude. Yeah, it was funny. He laughed at me. So people are more accepting of Bitcoin in El Salvador, in my opinion. More businesses accept Bitcoin in El Salvador than fucking here, probably.
Oh, I don't doubt that. I mean, dude, I have very interesting conversations when I just sort of throw it out. There've been a growing number of businesses where I live that, started to do things like we'll give you 4% off if you pay in cash so that they don't
Yeah.
have to pay the Visa or MasterCard credit card fees. Like businesses have long sort of had an added fee, like mom and pop shops will like add a fee if you don't buy enough stuff just to use the card because of just the fee and the cost of it. So it's funny when there's a solution, but they've been programmed to think otherwise simply because like that's what you're used to. So like why rock the boat? Like I had a conversation with a friend where I tried to talk about Bitcoin. I was like, oh no, I don't want to do this. Like I've done this enough times and with enough people. Like we have a money. Like why can't we just like use that? And I was like, because it's broken. He's like, well, it's not broken for me. I'm like, God, you are literally
Yeah.
the problem. Like just because it's
No.
not broken for you does not mean it's not broken for people in this country. Like go to fucking downtown LA. Like my
Right.
God, you can see how broken our money is just in our own town.
Yeah, and the sentiment is changing though. Like I think if you go up to the average person on the street and you ask them, "Hey, name like the top three, problems or that you're dealing with," inflation's in that list. So it's now kind of like a household term, inflation. I don't think people understand how it works at all, or why it is what it is. But I don't know why my camera's shaking. Why it is what it is, but like sorry, man, I lost it. The camera distracted me. I
You're
lost my
good.
train of thought.
You're talking about why, like, fuck.
Yeah, yes. Late show. Late
Damn,
show. Late
I am
show.
faded as fuck. All right, we're gonna keep going though. All right. So we
But
talked a
but
little
listen,
bit.
what I'm saying is in El Salvador for sure, I think no matter what metric you look at, there's more people running nodes, there's more wallets, there's more businesses accepting it, there's more people saving in it. My surf instructor saves in it. He's just some kid, so no matter which, there's more tourism coming in, more foreign investment, like I think in the billions, so everywhere you want to look at it, Bitcoin in El Salvador has been a crazy, crazy, crazy success. And again, half the other half is the safety is all of this stuff with Bukele and actually people feeling safe to go out at night. That's the other half. Without that, there is no other half. There's no me down in El Salvador. There's no comeback country film that I made for them. You need the safety. So those two things together, boom, baby, El Salvador is fucking cracking.
I'm debating if I want to keep going down that rabbit hole, but I do want to talk for a moment on, just the fact that it's somewhere like Bitcoin Beach, there is a business like we've been told so incessantly. Like, this is the birthplace of like the Bitcoin movement. And I just find it fascinating that there's a business there, and I'm curious of what like what was a conversation with an individual in El Salvador that hadn't bought into the Bitcoin narrative down there.
So there's a couple, right? There's like the same, dude. It's like the same, bro. Like you have no coiners and you got shit coiners. Like most of the young kids are fucking like maybe they're not shit coiners yet, but they're shit curious and like they they you'll say Bitcoin, they'll be like, oh, what about like Dogecoin? What about like whatever Ethereum? So they're into those things. So they're kind of like just yeah on that path perhaps. And then yeah, people who like don't know anything about it at all, and so they just think, hey, it's a scam maybe, or but they're interested, but and they understand what you're telling them that hey, this is money that can't be inflated, and everything gets more expensive because they're creating more of this money, and it's my country that's creating these dollars because the dollar is El Salvador's currency, right? So we're creating more dollars for ourselves, right? Whenever we want. You can't create them, but you pay the price. Everything costs more, and so they understand that and they get it, but it's just they're still too skeptical. The volatility is still too scary. You need more time with each individual person. And there's a lot of good things like Me Premier Bitcoin and a lot of like non-government organizations that are out there, like literally teaching people one by one. So yeah, it's happening, and people are focusing their attention there. So it's just going to get better and better there. Every time I go, it's nicer. There's something new at the everywhere. Like just in terms of like the streets or infrastructure by the beach, or like every restaurant, every hotel has something new. They built a new lounge area. They have a massage room now. Like they're just like growing, man. So yeah, the question was what conversations are like with regular people, and again, it's just like anywhere else. It's really the same.
I feel like a jackass, but I kind of want to know.
Yeah.
Like you are very notorious, at least in the sense that like you didn't shitcoin ever. That's a fair assessment?
Yes, yeah. Luckily, right? I was guided properly, not because I'm
What is the
smart or special.
closest you came? Like what was the closest you came to shitcoining?
Well, I lost money like borrowing.
Oh, like on leverage?
Yeah, like borrowing against it, like not like trading, but yeah, borrowing against it.
Damn.
Luckily, I learned my lesson, and it wasn't too expensive of a lesson. But yeah, like I got wrecked. I think everybody gets wrecked, whether you shitcoin or not. You probably still get wrecked once. I mean, look at Luke Dasher. Everybody gets wrecked, son.
Man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Um
Yeah. But yeah,
uh
but that's the closest I've come to shitcoin. Just getting wrecked. But again, it's not because like I'm smarter, or there's plenty of people that I've met. Almost every Bitcoiner shitcoined, and like so many of them are some of the smartest people I've ever met. So it's not that I'm special or anything. It's just my friend was very clear about it, and the first place I went to was fucking Max Kaiser. And so he's
didn't
very
Kaiser have
very
Kaiser coin
yeah,
or
Max Coin.
Max coin?
And I
Max
learned
coin.
about that like a year later. So like in my first
So
year, Max
you
was like,
got to skip the Max coin part of.
I skipped the Max Coin part. Yeah, yeah,
That's
exactly.
funny. That's
Yeah,
funny.
exactly.
I did not know Kaiser during the Max coin part either. So
Yeah,
like someone recently told me about that. I was like, no shit, that's actually really
yeah,
funny.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny. I've never talked to him about it, but I wonder when the moment was for him. Like, if he put that out, obviously he thought maybe there could be some utility with it, but obviously at some point he realized that hey, Bitcoin is the only thing. But anyway, yeah, it's interesting. But when I listened to him, like, he just made it so fucking clear to me. So yeah, I really appreciate all of the work. Because, dude, like running these shows and you put a lot of work into putting out a program like that. And so all of the years that him and Stacy put in and all the information they put out there, like, yeah, I'm really grateful for them, even if they shitcoined for a little.
Fair. I want to talk about like the actual Bitcoin experience though in El Salvador. Talk to me about like one thing that surprised you that you were able to do as a result of Bitcoin in El Salvador, and if you say things like "go to El Salvador" or the fact that it was safe in El Salvador, I will
Right.
reach through this camera and smack you in the face.
Yeah. Surprising. The first time I used Bitcoin down there, I was surprised at like actually having a feeling, like it was like a memory. You know what I mean? It's like your first kiss. Um, and it was great because it involved all of my senses. My first purchase was a beer on the beach. And so, one girl has the beer and the bottle opener, and the other girl's got the phone, and she shows me the QR code, and I scan it, and the other girl has the bottle opener on the beer, and she's waiting for the check mark to show that it came through. And the moment it goes through, right, like she pops it. So I see the check, I hear the tss, right, the sun's like on my face. I drink the beer. I'm like, wow, like that was incredible. That was the first time I ever spent Bitcoin. So I think having that first experience, is something I was surprised by. Um, and then,
So
I
I
was
just want to
surprised.
establish you heard it here first. The first time you'll spend Bitcoin is the equivalent of your first kiss.
Yeah, yeah. It would just the peck, no French kissing, like, and just the basics. Okay, that's what it's like. Um,
Okay.
but just it's really easier money to use. Every taxi driver, would take it. That I used at least, and paying them was really easy. So I think that's it. When you start using Bitcoin, it's actually easier than with cash and change, or like with a card and pin, or booping, like NFC or whatever. And the other person gets much less information about you. So yeah, I think that's what surprised me, is just I was like, wow, this actually feels better to use. It's easier to use than other money. Like, we should all be doing this already. Does that satisfy you? Go to El Salvador, spend Bitcoin. Is that what the tune
I,
was?
I I mean I've spent Bitcoin, but I'll make sure that on my El Salvador pilgrimage that I go pop that cherry and create the core memory.
Do it, man. But again, it was through Strike, so it wasn't even like Bitcoin. It was like dollars just over the network. So that was enough to enjoy the experience.
No,
Once you
nothing.
do the cold storage and all the words and everything, that's like third base. Like, you're getting. That's not just the first
All
kiss.
right, so then
You're getting you're
what's
getting deep.
sealing? Like what's going home? What's hitting a home run
No one
then?
goes home. Don't you know the hole never ends, man? No one gets home, man. No one gets home.
I mean, I guess that makes sense for Bitcoin
Bitcoin
since
is
there's
a
a bunch of
lady.
virgins.
Bitcoin is a lady. You treat her with
What?
respect. I'm
What?
kidding. I don't know, man.
What are you
This is
saying?
the late show, Q.
Bro, we're guys. Like at the end of the day, if you're not like speak for yourself, but most people in Bitcoin, at least those who are married with wives, had sex to have their children. And in case that you didn't realize, that's where kids come
Yeah,
from. You
yeah,
gotta
it's
have
true.
sex, which is
It's
what I
true.
mean when I say how do you hit a home run. So
Yeah,
you're
no,
the
you
one
can't,
with the
man. No one's. You're never
you're throwing
satisfied.
out the
You're
oh,
never
it's like
done.
kiss your first kiss and
Yeah, I
cold
know,
storage is
but
third
come on.
base.
Everyone will tell you you'll never get there with Bitcoin for whatever reason. It's a mystery. It's one of the wonders of the world.
It just sounds
You,
like you're a virgin.
you know what? Talk to Anders from Toxic Happy Hour. He will vouch for me. That sounded gay, but he will vouch for me.
So you want to have another middle-aged man vouch for you that you're
Yes,
not a virgin.
it's on the record on the Late Show. You heard it first.
Look, hey, your sexual preference means nothing for me, but I'm specifically talking about sex with a woman.
Yes, yes. This has happened, Q.
I'm
This has
busting balls.
happened. Come on, man. Look at me. I'm beautiful.
Yeah, dude, I'm looking at you, but now what you're saying is what's causing the questions, right?
Ah. Oh, this
Uh,
is great. This is a good show, Q. This is a good show. This is gonna happen, bro. We're just gonna extend my set, and you're gonna be over here with me in the nice area, and we're gonna make this poppin', bro. This is honestly though, no shit. I think this is a really good idea. I like the idea of a late show. It's nice.
I, I appreciate that. I mean, there's literally nothing else going on except for autistic kids talking on Bitcoin Twitter. So why not cut
Yeah,
through that with a little bit of signal and some light
yeah,
bullying?
yeah. Whatever. It's fun, you
Although I
know.
will say there's 0% chance I'm driving all the way to Pasadena. Like
All
I was
right.
thinking about this the other day. I was like, I have been to San Francisco, Utah, Miami, Boston, New York, and Scottsdale more times than I've been to Pasadena in my life.
Hey man, there's a good Rose Bowl here.
And
All
I'm
right.
not counting where I went to college in that list.
Yeah, all right, whatever. If it's not worth it for you, dude, if you don't want the real late show, okay, well,
It's
we
not
have
that like
cigars.
you grew up in LA. You
Yeah,
know how far like
yeah,
South Bay is from Pasadena. Like we're talking like
it's a
it's
mission.
closer for me to go honestly to like Irvine or
Yeah,
even like the border of San Diego than it is for me to go to Pasadena.
yeah, I hear you. All right, I got it. Loud, loud and clear. It won't be in Pasadena.
Won't be in Pasadena. You can come to me though.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so let's spend a little more time in El Salvador. Like, what is
All right.
there to do? You learn to surf. Okay, everyone's
Yeah.
talking about Bitcoin Beach. You eat a pupusa. Okay, sick. I've eaten plenty at my farmers markets. Like, what are you doing in El Salvador
Mm-hmm. So,
other than
from what I under,
filming and watching Max Kaiser go absolutely
right.
ape shit?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, um, so I've heard that you could pretty much do anything there. My boy T-Bone, he was there for a few months, and he went like paintballing in the jungle. There's like waterfalls, there's lakes, there's jet skis, there's boats, there's I mean like all kinds of shit. They have volcanoes, they have beaches, they have jungles, and then in the city, if you want to eat like fine dining, or that's what you do there. It's pretty much like any good city. I mean, I feel safer and fucking better in San Salvador than in Los Angeles. I feel much more calm, and the food's really good too. So yeah, I think like if you're adventurous, there's definitely a lot of things for you to do. Personally, I like to relax because I work a lot, so I just chill on the beach. I stay at my buddy's place at Palo Verde, and like I just order coconuts and like whatever, whenever, and just chill out. And yeah, so I think there's something for everybody, man. Go to El Salvador.
That honestly sounds epic. Just the idea of going paintballing in the jungle.
Dude, dude, we gotta hit him up. Like, let me know
I,
when you want to go, and we can go. We'll meet up with T-Bone.
I'm down. I'm down. I gotta probably, have a stream of income. If someone wants to sponsor this podcast, we are open for sponsorships.
There you go. There you go.
Let's talk now a little bit about just sort of, you alluded to some of the stuff you were filming down in El Salvador. Like, talk to us a little bit. Share what it was you were working on down there.
Yeah, so I went with Max and Stacy, and to really film for them. So we shot a few Kaiser reports, and we shot a few other like miscellaneous things for them. And we also shot this like little turtle video that they posted, and like people really liked. And so, but while I was down there, I really like met a lot of people, and like started to learn a little bit about the country, and I was just really inspired by them, and I felt like I wanted to like make something for the country, kind of use my skills and see if I could help in some way. And so yeah, that's what I did. I kind of learned about the history. I talked to a lot of Salvadorans, and I put together a 10-minute short film on El Salvador, covering their civil war, their gang war, Bukele, and then kind of where they are now with Bitcoin. And so, yeah, I visited El Salvador 2 times after that, to do a few interviews and to pick up some more footage. Um, and then, yeah, put it out, the film out in September, on September 30th, which was an anniversary of when Clinton signed the Immigration Act, which sent a bunch of gang members from Los Angeles to El Salvador, and kind of kicked off the gang war. And a couple of days later, President Bukele, reposted the film, and so yeah, that kind of got a lot of attention, and ended up going out to adopting Bitcoin a couple months later for the conference out there, talk about the film, screen the film there, and then just met a lot of really cool people. Actually, I shot a couple more interviews, and I'm adding it to a slightly updated version of the film. So yeah, if you haven't already, you can watch the film's called Comeback Country at comebackcountry.com. It's 10 minutes, super entertaining, super engaging, give you a really good sense of my style and my flavor. And yeah, that's what I did down there, and in terms of filming. And yeah, it's cool because it's really led me to what I'm doing now, which is my next film, which we can talk about too if you want to. Yeah, okay. Um, so um, so the kind of group name is 21 Feathered Serpents. Feathered Serpents was an ancient god-like person that came to different civilizations like the Aztecs and taught them like how to be civilized, how to farm, how to hunt, how to build proper structures. And so they kind of like called him like a bringer of peace and civilization. And this is also like Osiris in Egypt. There's a bunch of different names: Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan, Viracocha. Like all these different people around the world talk of this same kind of person that came and did all these things. And so I was really fascinated by that for a long time. And when I was going to make this film, the goal is to kind of spread Bitcoin around the world. And I see Bitcoin as kind of like what civilization needs now. Most, we know how to farm, we know how to hunt, we know how to do all these things. We're feeding ourselves, but money is really the most broken thing. And so, me and having 20 investors join me to fund the film. And I've gotten 8 of those 20, so I'm still filling seats. We're the 21 Feathered Serpents. And so, what the film's going to be about basically is it's just going to show that each generation is working more and more time just to live. And I'm going to do it in many countries around the world to show every flavor of it. The idea is this will be a film that's global, that anyone around the world can relate to and appreciate. So that'll be the first thing, really showing that, hey, things are getting more expensive. More and more of your time is going just to live. What it's going to be like for your kids and your grandkids. And then, into why, printed money and who gets it, and how, printed money basically corrupts every industry. So talking to industry experts in food and health and science and education about how, money creation is impacting their industries, and also talking to consumers that are being affected in those different industries. And then, of course, like why Bitcoin can't be inflated, and yeah, all the FUD, like why it's good for energy, and that actually countries, a lot of people around the world need energy. So basically that's the idea of the film, is to show globally what inflation and financial censorship looks like, and have people think, what's the future going to be like? And here's this money that can't be inflated, and this is why. So yeah, that's what's going on now, and probably start production like in June. Oh, and also last thing on that, these hats, I'm selling these hats for this last week here to help raise funds for the film. You can get it on Geyser. But yeah, we've sold like 30 of these, start 9, bought 12 alone. They're all custom fitted, so they're super legit. And after February, no more will be made. So if you want it, come get it.
Nice. Love that, man. And I love just, again, going back to what we talked about sort of at the beginning of the show, this idea that there are parts of the world that need Bitcoin, that need to use it right now, today. And most of us, we kind of have the privilege to just sit and wait and hodl Bitcoin. We don't need it. So to go out there and really like bring to life those stories, I think that is some of the most important stuff, because these bozos who are going to make policy decisions and are banked by the banks, are backed by the banks, they unfortunately will make certain policy decisions based on the fact that they think, like, I'll give some of them the benefit of the doubt that they think it's in the best interest of people, while others, I think they recognize and understand that their power could very well come to an end if something like this is as successful as we hope it will be. Um, but to bring to life those stories, when people start to realize, like, oh wow, this is actually something that people need today, right now. Like, it's not, oh, in like 50 years, yeah, maybe, but like right now, no. Like, no. Today, right now, there are people all over the country of El Salvador. There are people all over like my homeland in Iran. There are people all over Africa right now, just like starting to like, they have no other choice. You see people burning down banks in Lebanon. You see people bum rushing the ATMs in Nigeria. Like, it is, yeah, downtown LA is an absolute clusterfuck. But my God, we live in a country where at least right now, you can go to the bank and withdraw your money for now. That could change. But today, right now, that's not your concern. But guess what? Most of us didn't do jack shit to be able to be born in this country and have that right. Like, that's the wake up call I think a lot of people need. And
Yeah.
to make a decision to impact someone on the other side of the world simply because you think it's in either their, yours, or whoever's best interest is just naive. And it goes back again to what we talked about like, those friends of yours who are El Salvadorian, who buy into the media narrative, who won't see it for themselves, who still think it's too dangerous, versus those who took the chance and are being rewarded for taking that chance and finding and seeing new opportunities as a result of that.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. But again, it's like you're into sports. You do fantasy and there's like a snake draft, right? So the person that goes first the next time goes last. And I think that's what is going to happen here. We have an opportunity to exercise our financial privilege here, and to easily, save our wealth for the future. I mean, I always say Bitcoin is like the cheapest asset and the easiest asset to hold. I mean, it's really the only one you can hold and no one can take from you. Um, but it's easy for us, and I think that's why we don't need it, and I think that's why people are passing it by. But like you say, with Bitcoin, you get the price you deserve, and the people that come first are rewarded. So I think like the snake draft, um, you know, whoever's first now is going to be last later. Um, did I lose you, Q? Q. Is it me or
Perfect.
you,
Sorry.
dude?
No, it's definitely me. My internet is
Oh,
slowly dying on us right now. Um,
okay.
all right, I before this thing crashes, before we're able to like have a proper end,
Yeah.
who was your number one pick in fantasy football past season?
Oh man, I don't even play anymore. That was just a bad example
What?
because I only played once, and
Oh,
I don't
you
even watch football.
suck! I got so excited to talk fantasy football with you. All right, just
No,
for
we can talk
that, this interview is
UFC.
done.
We can talk UFC. That's basically it.
That's it. You don't do any other sports.
No, I mean I played a little bit when I was younger, but and I used to watch the Suns. My dad liked the Suns, so I used to watch the Suns. But usually now I just catch the last quarter of the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like I'm that guy.
Really? Oh, that was the worst
Yeah, like
quarter
the
to
last
watch.
quarter. Yeah, no, because if
It
it's
was
not
literally a
close, then I
third
don't
of
even really
that was
watch
just
it.
watching Kansas City like burn the clock.
Yeah, yeah, it was so disappointing, man. That call, I don't know. It seemed like it was an easy giveaway.
Well, I'll say
It seemed like a
this:
little tic tac,
that was
little
one
little
of the
little ticky tack.
that was one of the most fun Super Bowls, and like as someone who like as much fantasy football as I play, I actually don't watch football as much as I would come off as, but I will say for 55 minutes that was like one of the more entertaining football games I've ever watched. Um, but literally, Kansas City, like they just play textbook football, and it was just like, I want to just
Yeah,
like keep seeing touchdowns.
yeah, Yeah, there was like some little bit of controversy, right, over that call, like towards the end of the game.
Yeah, but like, did you see the interview? I don't think you did. I get way too into sport ball, so Bitcoiners will roast me for it. I don't care. It makes me happy.
I do this with the UFC. Like I watch every post-fight press conference. Like I watch these guys' interviews. I'm obsessed with it. Sorry, go on.
No, you're good. Essentially, like these guys, they were all like all the Eagles players. They were like, look, like, does it suck to pretty much lose on a call? Yeah, but like he held them, and even the guy who the call was on, he was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
really
man, I was
okay.
just really hoping they would like let me get away with that. Like, I know I
Oh,
did
okay, all
wrong.
right.
So like honestly, and I think the Eagles are a class act for handling it like that. Instead
Yeah,
of going like, yo, that's bullshit to lose on a call. It's like
right.
the
Yeah.
bullshit part, and now I'm just getting into the nuances of like, do I think they were making that call all game? No. So to make it in the last 5 minutes, just like, but
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
it is what it is. If and
Yeah.
I think Jalen Hurts said it best. If you leave it to come down to one play and lose because of one call, you fucked up long before that call.
Yeah, even in the UFC, like when a judging goes the wrong way, right? That's the saying is like you don't leave
So
it
are
to the
you saying
judges.
this last fight? I know there was a little controversy about this last fight. Are you saying that you don't agree with the decision?
I could have seen it going either way. Honestly, when it was happening, I wasn't sure who won. I was like,
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't know. It could go either way because especially when Makachev had him on the ground and was on his back for that half of that round. He wasn't doing a whole lot. I understand it's a dominant position, and he could have gotten, he could have got a choke maybe attempt in there, but he didn't really do anything. So it was a little boring. But I really want to see them fight again because I do feel like Volkanovski overestimated him and thought that he had to conserve more energy and not get caught like getting wrapped up with him. And so I think maybe next time Volkanovski will be more aggressive, but perhaps maybe next time Makachev will be more prepared or have a better gas tank and actually will capitalize on that. So I don't know. I'm not excited for them to fight anybody else. I'd like to see them fight each other again. That's what I think.
I think a lot of people would agree with that. That'll probably be a rematch that Dana White will make a lot of money off of.
Gotta do it.
Bitcoin Shooter, before we head out, why don't we let the audience know how to stay up to date with all the amazing stuff that you're working on, what you got cooking next?
Yeah, bitcoinshooter.com. It'll get you everywhere. You'll see Comeback Country. There's a little banner and a link to 21 Feathered Serpents, so you can learn more about my film. And my Twitter is all there. Most of my video stuff's on Twitter. So yeah, you get a good sense of it. And yeah, if you watch Comeback Country, shoot me a message. Let me know what you think.
Awesome, man. No.
Uh,
All right, there we go. That is gonna do it for tonight and this week for for late night Bitcoin with me, your host Q. We will be back next week with another jam-packed week of incredible guests, topics, and discussions. If you are not subscribed, please press the subscribe button down below. If you are listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any podcasting platforms, please make sure you subscribe to the show and leave us a review as well. Tell me how awful I am. Tell me what I need to work on. Tell me how to get better. This show is going to be around for a while because I put it at 8 p.m. and I have all the equipment this time. So there's not going to be any disappearing. So